For today's episode, we go back to the mailbag. And that's pretty much the intro. Big Deke News. Today's topic is brought to you by @JWall1992. He asked, who would you like to see the Steelers draft in the 2024 draft? Who do you think would be a good fit for the team? So what's cool about this question is it coincides with an ESPN Plus 2024 way too early NFL mock draft that just dropped like 3 or 4 days ago. And then the Steelers picking Mason Smith, defensive lineman out of LSU. So before we get into the breakdown, I just want to note they have us picking him at 14. That is incorrect because we will be drafting at the bottom. But in terms of a defensive lineman, I'm not greatly opposed to it. It's just, as we sit here right now, I don't think it's one of our top 3 needs when we look forward to the draft. Obviously, we still have a 2023 season to play out. There's going to be a lot of variables still. But as a topic just to have fun with right now in the middle of July, let's dig into it a little bit deeper. The reason I'm not so gung-ho about a defensive lineman is because of all the guys we're presumably going to have in-house for 24. Think, 2 of them we just drafted, in DeMarvin Leal and Keanu Benton. And then you have Larry Ogunjobi signed to a 3-year deal. The biggest question mark could be Cam Hayward, but we know his play is aging like fine wine. I know another year under the belt's not going to be helping him necessarily, but I think he at least got 2 in him. So I think he'll be here for 24, and I still think he'll be playing at a high level. So you mean to tell me we have those 4 guys already? Cam Hayward, Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton, and DeMarvin Leal. I don't think we need to draft a dude in the first round. Now, if we're talking second or third, fourth round, whatever, or even bringing in an extra guy in free agency, it's just, I think it could be overkill by going defensive line in the first round because there are 3 other positions, at least 3 other positions that I have in mind that I would prefer over defensive line. But before I get into my top 3 here, I just want to say we are set up damn well for 2024 already, because if you look at our list of unrestricted free agents, aside from Alex Highsmith, because I'm assuming we're going to sign him to an extension, it's only really Levi Wallace and Marcus Golden that are like the big names. And if you look at the rest, there are a bunch of depth players that can be replaced. So our core is going to be pretty much intact for 2024. So when you think of that, though, the first position that comes to mind for this 2024 draft as something to take in the first round is inside linebacker. We got a Cole Holcomb, a Landon Roberts, Nick Kwiatkowski, still a prospect in Mark Robinson. None of those names ring elite. You know what I mean? And it's not a bad thing. I mean, these are really solid players, but we're going to have the opportunity in 2024 with how our roster is laid out, and we're not going to have too many needs to get a franchise guy that we've tried to get in years past and have been successful in getting, like Lawrence Timmons and Ryan Shazier. But then you have, in 2019, Devin Bush. That didn't work out. So it's around that time. You could actually kind of see the cycle. Timmons, when was that? In like 07. Shazier, 2014. Devin Bush, 2019. So we're due. We're going to be in 2024. Take an inside linebacker with a first-round pick. And the names that are being brought up as like first, second-round talents heading into this college football season, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson, also out of Clemson, Barrett Carter out of Ohio State, Tommy Eichenberg, Cedric Gray out of UNC, and then out of Texas, Jalen Ford. So inside linebacker was my first position. Second position, I'm going with corner. Now, I know we got JPJ in the second round this past year, and also a lot of us are high on Corey Trice, but he is a 7th-round pick. You got to see how 2023 plays out with him. We're going to be losing, or potentially losing, Levi Wallace. We always could re-sign him, so that could change whether or not we have cornerback on this list or not. But we'll have Pat P. You got a JPJ. You got a Corey Trice. I think James Pierre is going to be a free agent. So the cornerback room is going to be lacking a little bit. And I don't think it would be the worst thing to draft a cornerback early. You got Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama being the top prospect. Joey Porter's running mate back at Penn State, Karen King. Out of Georgia, Kamari Lassiter. And then out of Florida, Jason Marshall Jr. It could just be one of those things where you have 3 solid young corners for the next like 3 or 4 years. It won't be a position that you really got to worry about, hopefully, because these guys are not only talented, but will be receiving tutelage under a Hall of Famer like Pat P. And who knows with Pat P, when his contract runs out, maybe he will make the switch to safety that some people are throwing some rumors out there. Like he could switch to safety, have like a Charles Woodson type of second half to his career. But ultimately, NFL passing league, we're in the AFC North with the Bengals. They got really good receivers. Baltimore Ravens are actually starting to address that position. So, yeah, I just don't think it would be a bad thing to do for 2024 by getting another top cornerback to pair with JPJ. And hopefully Trice comes around and you have that like solid trio. And then for my last position, I was back and forth on this one. I initially knee-jerk reaction thought safety. I was like, you know what? We got DeMonte Casey, Keanu Neal. They're like veterans, though. But I looked at their contracts. They got 2-year deals, so we'll have them locked up for an additional year. And I expect them to play pretty good in 2023, where we'll have that type of faith in them to repeat in 2024. So my third spot is actually going to offensive line as a whole, and it could be any position. The reason is it never hurts to protect your first-round quarterback investment. There's that. But then if you look at Chooks, James Daniel, and Mason Cole heading into 2024, they're only going to have 1 year left on their deal. It's going to be the last year. And then if you look into their contract even more with the details, they could all be cap casualties because their cap hit is kind of significant, and then the dead cap is not so much. Like if you look, there could be like $8 to $9 million in cap savings if you cut some of these guys. Not saying that the Steelers are going to cut all 3, but if they do 1 or 2, that's going to leave a hole for the offensive line and would definitely be something we want to address in the early rounds of 2024. That's it for this edition of Big Deke News on a Monday. Let me know your thoughts about my top 3 positions heading into the 2024 draft. I know it's a long ways away, but again, I just thought it would be a fun exercise to discuss. And yeah, I think that's, again, just it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Stay chilling, and peace.